Praise be Jesus Christ. Today we celebrate Monday during the octave of Pentecost. And we just heard in the sequence these words, "Where thou art not, man hath not, nothing good in deed or thought, nothing free from taint of ill." And this perfectly explains how necessary it is that we have the help of the Holy Spirit. Even in accomplishing good, virtuous acts, nothing is free from taint of ill. That is, as long as we are acting according to our own human virtue, all of our good works are still tainted and marked by our human weakness, by our frailty, by our disordered self-love. And so we need the Holy Spirit to elevate our virtuous acts, our good works, and to make them perfect in the sight of God. So often today among Christians there's a lot of confusion about the authentic action of the Holy Spirit. There are a lot of people who think it consists in enthusiasm. When they feel enthusiastic about some work, some prayer, they immediately discern themselves that that's a sign of the Holy Spirit. Well, not necessarily. If we want to find out what does authentic action of the Holy Spirit consist in, we need to look at Our Lady, the spouse of the Holy Spirit, who from the moment of her Immaculate Conception, continuing still today in heaven, she is always and entirely united with her spouse, the Holy Spirit, and always and everywhere under his action, under his influence. And so we look at Our Lady at the foot of the cross. Was she filled with enthusiasm at the foot of the cross? Of course not. She was the mother of sorrows, her heart pierced with a sword. And yet, was she filled with the Holy Spirit? Was she moved and guided by his inspirations at the foot of the cross? Of course she was. Again, people today often think that the essential action of the Holy Spirit consists in his extraordinary gifts, tongues, healing, miracles, prophecy, and all the rest. We think about the charismatic movement. Well, that isn't essential to the action of the Holy Spirit. Again, do we find Our Lady, spouse of the Holy Spirit, in the Gospels, speaking in tongues, prophesying, working miracles of healing? No, we don't. Was she still his spouse? Was she still under his inspiration? Of course she was. Well, then what does the action of the Holy Spirit, authentic action of the Holy Spirit, consist in essentially? Essentially, it consists in, as I mentioned at the beginning of the homily, elevating our virtues to the degree of heroicity, causing our simply good human virtues to be elevated to that supernatural, perfect, we could say, degree, the level of the saints. Remember, when the Church canonizes a saint, what's the first thing the Church looks for? Heroic virtue. Heroic virtue. That's the exterior sign of what is happening interiorly in that soul. That exterior sign of heroic virtue gives us the ability to say that soul is predominantly under the action of the Holy Spirit. Notice the Church does not look for enthusiasm, does not look for miracles per se. They're not necessary. But heroic virtue, that's necessary. That's the sign of the action of the Holy Spirit. And so what we need to do for our part is to dispose ourselves to the action of the Holy Spirit. We need to pray daily, especially the rosary. Pray to his spouse. Again, as St. Louis de Montfort says, St. Maximilian, that the Holy Spirit acts only where he finds his spouse. So we should be close to Our Lady. Notice Our Lady was central in the cenacle on the day of Pentecost. So by praying the rosary daily, by consecrating ourselves to Our Lady, we dispose ourselves to the action of the Holy Spirit. By frequent recourse to the sacraments, confession, Holy Communion, by avoiding sin, mortifying ourselves, and then, of course, putting forth our best effort to practice the virtues: faith, hope, charity, prudence, justice, temperance, fortitude. If we do these things, then we dispose ourselves to his action. And his action in our lives won't necessarily be perceptible. Remember, the action of the Holy Spirit is suave, sweet, gentle. Okay, it's not always perceptible to the senses. Supernatural. It means above nature. So let's do these things, draw close to Our Lady, and invoke the aid of the Holy Spirit. Come, Holy Spirit, fill the hearts of thy faithful, and enkindle in them the fire of thy love. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.